Hi everyone. Tonight we have some news for immigrants about the new public charge rule. First we have some bad news, and then we have some really bad news. Starting with the bad news, remember when USCIS announced that during the pandemic the public charge rule wouldn't be applied and that the forms wouldn't be needed? Well, USCIS is now behaving like it never said that at all. They just announced they would apply the public charge rule retroactively, meaning anybody who applied for a green card after February 24th, 2020 that hasn't filled out Form I-944 and supporting evidence will be getting a request for evidence to provide that documentation. Now, there were several lawsuits about this. USCIS said they were going to start implementing it again, and a judge ordered a nationwide injunction. That means a temporary halt in July. Then the nationwide injunction was limited to just the Second Circuit, meaning New York, Vermont, and Connecticut, and every place else it would be applied, but not in those three states. Well, a decision on September 11th said that this administration could start implementing the public charge rule, and that leads to the really bad news. Let me introduce myself before I get to the really bad news. I'm Andres Mejer. I'm an immigrant just like you. I became an attorney to help immigrants. My goal is to help 5,000 immigrants obtain their legal status in the next 5 years. Yes, this administration is making it harder, but I know we can still do it. If you want to be part of the 5,000, drop a comment below and someone from our office will reach out to you to see if you qualify. Remember, we won't accept your money if we can't help you. Back to the really bad news. Let's review. There has always been a requirement that immigrants must be able to support themselves in order to immigrate to the United States. This is nothing new. It is one of the reasons that you had to have a sponsor. Someone who agreed that if you went on public assistance, they would pay the government back. They also promised to maintain you at a certain financial level. By the way, you may not know this, but if your sponsor doesn't maintain you at the agreed upon level, you can sue them. Even if your sponsor was your husband and you are now divorced, you can still require him to support you. This administration had said they want to have a merit-based immigration. That means that people must meet certain requirements like education or wealth to be eligible to immigrate to the United States. The administration expanded the public charge rule to create these merit-like requirements. In the past, I went into great detail how to apply the public charge. We will be selecting some of those videos after this message to remind you of what you need to do. But then the pandemic happened. USCIS said that because of the pandemic, they would not require people to submit the new Form I-944, and it's 20 pages, it's very long, it's complicated. They said you wouldn't need to submit them with your application. Why? Well, we can only suggest a few reasons. Part of it is that it might be difficult to get the evidence required together during a pandemic. Secondly, many people were out of work, and economies throughout the world have been hard hit. So having an economic requirement that looks at your most recent income would be truly devastating to many potential immigrants. Third, and the likely real reason, is because there were many lawsuits that were filed against this administration about this new policy, and it is more easy to defend those lawsuits to say, hey, we're not applying it anyway during the pandemic, so there's really no point to file this lawsuit. And that leads us to the really bad news. Even though USCIS has told everyone that anyone who applied on or after February 24th, 2020 didn't have to submit the new form or the documentation due to the pandemic, now they're saying, hey, you should have done it anyway. So if you applied for an immigration benefit like a green card that requires Form I-944 with the supporting documents, and you didn't include it, you will be receiving a request for evidence. If you don't respond to the request for evidence, your petition will be denied. And in this administration, a denial, unless you have some other form of legal status, will absolutely result in you being put into removal proceedings. And in even worse news, although we are telling you now, so you will be prepared, if you submit your application after October 13th, 2020, without the new form, your petition will be rejected outright. That means USCIS won't consider your case at all. And if you don't have legal status, you're going to be put into removal proceedings. And now a so-called simple family-based petition becomes long and really complicated. So now you need to go to court. Remember, to top off the bad news, filing fees go up on October 2nd, 2020. Don't be rejected for filing with the wrong fee. If you haven't gathered the documents for the new I-944 form, get them together now. I highly recommend that you talk to an immigration attorney for this new form. It is long, it is complicated, and you don't want to fill it out incorrectly. Please continue watching these videos. They were not filmed today, but they do include the information that you need in order to respond to the public charge rule and to determine how it's going to impact your immigration journey.